been having some great shows, man. Of course, my guys here with me, man.
Yeah.
My boy Deontay Miller. What up, D?
Reg, what up? What up, man? We've been having some real good dialogue lately, man. So it's only right that we keep this train rolling, right?
Hey, bro. And fortunately and unfortunately, you know what we got to talk about. You know what
Oh
I'm saying?
man, it's the talk of the
It's
town.
the talk of the town, bro. So we might as well get it in. And I think our platform is the perfect platform to talk about it, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure, man. And I know, man, you was chopping it up, man, and just talking about just kind of the role of fatherhood and different things like that. But man, what's up with Will last night at the or Sunday at the Oscars, man?
And bro, I think, like I said, the platform is perfect because even you know a huge part of the father figure piece is protector,
Right, right.
and that does not just mean our children. It also means protecting our women,
Yeah, yeah.
and especially our wives, um, the mothers of our children.
Right.
But bro, we got to get into it, man. Just because it's so
It's layered.
and it's touchy, bro. Just because it's and you know, we black men, we black fathers
Right, right.
that witness two black men, and we try not to play the race card, or you know, just because it was the Oscars and just because. So man, it is and I think you used the perfect analogy, man. It got about 12 layers to it, bro.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, you think about it when you talk about fatherhood and the different roles of a father, the different layers of a father. You got protector, you got provider, you got disciplinary, you got modeler, you got all these different layers, right? And so last night, I mean, Will, of course, is a father. He's a husband. Of course, he's his own man. He's a, you know, he's a actor, and he has different layers to himself. But man, when you think about the term protector as a father, and then what happened in that situation, the first thing I asked myself is like, you like, I don't know if that was necessarily the example that I was going for.
And this what I'm saying about the division when it comes to mentally and when it comes to men and especially men of color
Right.
when it comes to protecting our families, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's so many perspectives out there that think like, oh man, well Chris Rock shouldn't have just, he should just, you know, like I get it, man. I don't think either party was right.
Okay.
So my perspective is not saying Chris Rock was right, Will was wrong, Will was right, Chris was wrong. The perspective is what does really protecting our wives and our children look like? I
Mhm.
don't to me, I don't think that's what that should look like.
Yeah. Not in that
Not in
situation.
that situation. And the explain your perspective when you say not in that situation.
Well, man, I'm listen. Let me first say this: as a husband and as a father, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is my responsibility to protect my children and my wife,
100%.
right? But at the same time, that protection looks different in different
There you
situations.
go.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing if someone's physically assaulting my kids or someone's physically assaulting my wife.
Or attempting to.
Exactly. Then you're going to get a different type of reaction or example of protection that I'm going to display.
Right.
But in a case like that, and the reason I say that it's so layered is because, first of all, you got to kind of think back of the history, right? Even in terms of the relationship between Chris and Will, right? I have to assume that there was a friendship there, right? And then that's one part of it. Then you look at the history between Will and Jada,
Right.
which is, that's a little touchy, right?
And now, and not to cut you off, D, now they bringing up the history between Chris Rock and Jada.
Exactly. Exactly. And so going back to just your question and in my perspective in that, I'm gonna say no. That would not have been the way that I would have displayed the type of protection of my wife in that situation. Now, for me personally, what that looks like is, well, I'm gonna just be honest with you. First and foremost, I ain't messing up my check Number one. Number two, that's neither here nor there. The other part of that, which is more important than anything, is that there's a way that I'm gonna handle that as a man. I'm gonna pull you aside where there's no cameras, no audience, and me and you gonna have a discussion about why that was or was not okay.
Well, D, and again, just to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, I feel like even if Will had said what he said, even in front of the camera,
Yeah.
if he had verbally just said, bro, keep my wife's name out your mouth, even while the camera is on, even like I said, I might have done it backstage. I might have, but even if you say that,
right,
I think your message is loud and clear.
That's true.
Your message is loud and clear if you publicly say that in front of everybody at the Oscars.
Yeah.
And now if Rock come back and tell you like, man, forget you and your old lady, or man, it's a joke, this, that, and the third. Now I ain't gonna lie, I might get up and slap the man.
Yeah.
But the problem is the protection that we owe our wife and kids.
Yeah.
Is not the protection that says I am going to physically assault somebody because they said something that is insensitive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that's weird about it, because, and again, we don't know these people extensive history. So we don't know if Will maybe said something to him before or addressed it in the past. I ain't heard none of that. But at the same time, like you say, bro, you about to win an Oscar for King Richard.
Yeah.
You 99% sure you about to win an Oscar.
Yeah.
That's why they got you and your old lady in the front row. That's why they got, everybody's up there because you about to win an Oscar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to be on that platform and decide that the way that I'm going to protect my wife from this joke that this man told is to go up here and slap him. I hear a lot of people, especially on social media, man, I hear a lot of people justifying it.
Yeah.
And saying, Chris Rock should have kept his mouth shut. He poking the bear. But comedians throughout the history of comedy have touched on sensitive subjects, bro. Like, homosexuality and gender and nationalities and the handicapped, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, my thing is we can't get to a place where people feel like if a comedian say my wife is fat in some way,
yeah,
I can run up on stage and slap the dude.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to the layer part of it, man. And I put this out on social media actually yesterday, and I was purposeful in terms of what I said, and I wanted to kind of see what the dialogue was like, right? And you're right, there was people that were legitimately justifying what Will did, and then there was other people saying, hey, he was wrong. But I wanted to give a different perspective, but yet similar, right? And so here's a little history about this. If you've ever read Will Smith's book,
right, first chapter,
he talks about growing up feeling like a coward. He talks about being in an abusive relationship and could not protect his mother. Hear me out, because this is my therapy wheel turning, right? He couldn't protect his mother, you know what I'm saying, as a child growing up. So imagine living your whole life with that type of insecurity of feeling like a coward and not being able to protect the ones that you love. Okay. Right. Now we fast forward this to this situation. Now, maybe let's take a step back. All the stuff come out at the Red Talk table about what happened in you and Jada's relationship. Okay. And you are mocked and ridiculed because you did what? Nothing. So that feeds the insecurity of feeling like a coward and not protecting what's yours. So Erica made a great point yesterday when we talked about it. She said, I honestly believe that Will could have just been at his breaking point.
Well, right there, see it. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I really do. Just because my sister actually bought me the book for my birthday. And that's one of the first things that came to my mind is, him saying the way he felt and psychologically
Yeah.
what he's still dealing with as a grown man. But it goes back to what we said initially, D. You are still talking about what you could not protect your mother from physically. Because in the book, he talking about his dad hit his mama so hard that she, she bleeding out. And again, I know, especially, from the therapy piece, psychologically where he may have been. But at the end of the day, bro, I really believe it may be even deeper than that. Just because for me, I saw the man kind of giggle and go into his Hollywood laugh. But then I also saw Jada, like, kind of give him the look. And then I think that's what also triggered
the piece that I'm talking about.
That type of physical protection. See, I think Will was maybe thinking in his head, and I'm just kind of projecting my thoughts. He might have been thinking what we were saying, like, man, I'm gonna check this cat when I go backstage. I'm finna check this dude. He'll never say nothing else. But then he looked at Jada, and Jada had that look on her face, like, she going through the alopecia stuff, or now everybody looking at, and whatever was going on psychologically. But I could see what you saying, that even looking at Jada probably triggered.
Oh, no doubt.
That trauma.
No doubt, man. And then you got to think about it too, man. It's I talk about this all the time as men, right? The thing that he projected out was anger. But if you watch the acceptance speech and those tears that followed, listen, yes, he was excited about the moment, but that moment was already dampened by what already happened. Right. When I watch Will cry on that stage, there's nothing that anybody else can convince me otherwise that those was tears that had some pain in it. And that's just real talk.
Pain and regret.
Of course. Yeah.
Because I think Will understands, first of all, that, and this go back to your piece, being a therapist, that you haven't dealt with what made you run up on that stage.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And I think a lot of times we assume because people are celebrities and they rich and they wealthy, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That they have dealt with these things.
Yeah.
But that's what it shows us more than anything, is that money can't hide trauma. Money and success can't hide. You know what I'm saying? Like me and you've been talking about for years and years, man. Hurt people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's one of the oldest cliches known to man.
Right.
But I think that's what we saw. We saw a hurt person try to hurt somebody.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, Will's human, right? And so the last thing I'm going to do in that situation, because I'm like, forgive me if I don't laugh with all of the memes and different things out there, right? Because at the end of the day, just like I put it out there, regardless of what side of the fence you on, as a culture, we all took an L yesterday.
And you seen, I put that on social media. Like, we all lost.
Yeah, for sure.
And people think it's just about the Grammys, it's about celebrity. Like, man, I've been a shop owner forever. If somebody walk in the shop and me and you are fighting in the shop, everybody in the shop take a L.
Take a L, man.
And the name that is on the outside of the building takes an L.
Yeah.
Sophisticates takes an L if people walk in there, me and you fight.
Yeah. And I don't want us to spend the whole podcast just rehashing what everybody saw, but because I really think that's a good segue to us getting back to talking about fatherhood and that protective piece, right? And so when you think about that, clearly you and I would have to say we both agree that displaying protection in that manner probably wasn't the best move. But highlight for me, Reg, when the protection of a father is warranted, and what does that look like when it's done healthy, when it's done the right way?
Well, it again, the situation dictates what's healthy and what's done the right way.
Right.
Again, like you say, my physical protection comes from physical danger. I can't just say I want to, if I'm walking in the mall, and there's been some times, man, where I might see a cat double take, or whatever it is. See, even my confrontation is probably gonna be verbal. Like, bro, like, what
Keep it moving.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mind you respectfully looking at my like, but you like, man, it's the third time I done seen you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not just gonna walk up and spur nobody just because you looking at my wife or with my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you gotta understand from a protective piece. I went through one of the most traumatic things known to man. But even from a protective piece, bro, I had to rationalize what type of protector I wanted to be.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good.
You know what I'm saying? Because think about it, D. If I go and retaliate and if I go and seek revenge,
right,
everybody known to man is going to understand.
Yeah.
You might not condone what I might have done, but everybody would have understood. Like, man, I but again, that comes with me sitting in jail, possibly me going to prison. That means me not being in the hospital with my baby. That means me not being able to pray over my baby. That means me not being able to motivate her. That's protection. And sometimes us as fathers and father figures, we got to understand protection does not look like what society wants it to look like.
And I think the piece that us as men can relate to in terms of protection, we think of it just clearly through a physical lens.
Everything got to be physical. Like, bro, like you and I both agree, D. Just because I've been knowing you long enough and you've been knowing me long enough.
Yeah.
If it need to go down, it's gonna go down.
One way or the
Period.
other.
Point blank.
Right.
But I can't say every scenario that I'm in my feelings about, or that I feel like man, you can't just say, look, man, I'm finna just jump on the cat, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't do it.
And I'm gonna tell you too, man, how being able to identify that protection is, as a father, goes beyond physical, right? Because there's an emotional protection that you got to have for your children, right? And in emulating a good, healthy way to protect, it teaches your kids how to respond in a crisis. If you are out there saying like, oh, listen, okay, and granted, I get it. Again, if it's any physical imminent danger, that's a different type of way you have to step up from a protective measure. But just like you just said, every interaction doesn't require that type of reaction. And when you constantly react that way, guess what? You teach your children how to emotionally respond out of that space. And guess what? That can be very, very dangerous and detrimental to them and their safety.
And not only can be, D, it's going to be.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be because as much as, like I said, man, if I'm Will Smith, man, once I tell Chris Rock, like, bro, keep my wife's name out your mouth. Whether I tell you backstage, whether I tell you while the camera on, now if you still in a space where you like, man, I don't care what you're talking about this, now we might have a physical confrontation.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, Chris Rock was talking about Jada being light skinned or her being short, or if I know my wife is extremely sensitive about her alopecia and it's causing insecurity, or you don't know what it's doing mentally, or how much that disorder affects her.
Yeah.
I have to explain to you again. You can't just go up there and slap a man and then tell him keep your wife's name out of his mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
Because again, Chris Rock may not be sensitive to alopecia.
Clearly.
And then from a comedian standpoint, I don't think a lot of them are sensitive to what hurts people's feelings, because sometimes making fun of people is how I make my living.
Steve Harvey said it best, man. It's truth in some of them jokes.
No, it's truth in a lot of them jokes because think about I'm watching Mike Epps' new joint, Indiana Mike. And Mike Epps always jokes about the handicap.
They do.
I've never seen a comedy special. Oh, my bad.
You good?
I've never seen a comedy special, bro, where Kevin Hart Kevin Hart, where Mike Epps has not made fun of the handicap.
Yeah.
Dog, Ricky Smiley do Lil Daryl. Man, especially when it comes to the different nationalities of people, man. You always gonna hear a Hispanic comic talking about white people or black people talking about white people or what. And you can't tell me people ain't sensitive about their nationality or their culture.
Right.
But it's comedic for people to talk or make fun of other people's culture.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, with that whole situation, man, just what you talking about, man, it was bigger than just the incident. It was more defined than just the incident, right? And we can talk about the different layers all day long.
All day.
We could talk about the different layers all day long. And you know, one thing I'm gonna say, I was glad that Will came out and apologized, right? Because listen, again, there's layers to him. And if I believe he's the father and the man that I believe he is at his core, I was actually expecting that. You said regret.
Yeah, I don't. And here we go. Here go my rabbit hole. I'm about to take you down.
Okay, come on, take me down.
That's what made it seem a little bit scripted. Is that first of all, here go my biggest thing, and I don't know who I'm talking to at the Oscars. You know what I'm saying? And our platform may not be big enough yet to reach the Oscars, but I need to understand from a security standpoint,
man,
how a cat can get on the stage,
you
slap a man,
you sound like my dad, boy,
and get off the stage and just go sit down. Well, like, I know that's Will Smith, and I know y'all know he about to win. So y'all mean to tell me anybody who might get offended at the Oscars can walk on the stage and slap somebody, walk off and take their seat without no security?
And this is me gonna be playing a little devil's advocate, bro,
right,
to the rabbit hole. I honestly believe when Will got up to get on that stage, nobody in that room expected this man to slap him. That's number one. When
Chris Rock got on the stage.
Well, no, when Will got on.
Oh, okay.
When Will, yeah. So when Will got on stage, right, and slapped him.
I got you.
After he slapped him, I just got it. Will walked off cool, like he just dapped him up.
Right.
And I think everybody in that room was kind of shocked, like thinking what you thinking, like, was this real? Did this just happen? So they didn't even have time to react until Will sat down and started the extra right there. So to your point, I understand what you implying, but I think if I'd have been in that situation, I'd have been like,
yeah, but
what are you gonna do?
Saying, even seeing the video where Denzel and Tyler Perry and everybody got him pulled to the side, where is security at, bro?
Well, at that point, it's de-escalated. They not gonna escort this man out.
Man, if you Chris Rock, I just got slapped. It ain't you can't dog. You can't take a slap back.
Well, listen.
Man, so I won't again. If I'm at, bro, if I'm at a speaking engagement, if I'm a comedian, anything, bro. If somebody run up on the stage and put their hands on me, that means the place ain't secure. You know what I'm saying? Like I get it. I get it. It's Will Smith. You know he about to win the Oscar. You security probably shocked. Security probably sitting there like, what is going on?
But to that point, though, if we anybody else, they not getting up on that stage like that.
You never know. Denzel right there. That's what I'm saying. So just because I'm the elite, I get to run up on stage and slap somebody.
Well, that's what it looked like.
What you say? That's what it
looked like.
So and then I'm just saying for me, and again we going down the rabbit hole. Where was security at? Period.
Well, man, we'll never know the answer to that question because you and I both was at home watching it on TV. You know what I'm saying? Right. But let me ask you this: going back to get back on topic, right? In terms of the idea of protector, right?
Right.
Talk to me about, Reg, just a little bit about growing up with your pops.
Mm-hmm.
right? Your pop's military man too. So
Right,
you
right.
you kind of know how his DNA, how his makeup is. Talk to me a little bit about what that example of protector looked like growing up with your pops, and how that impacted you or influenced you now that you are a husband and have your own daughters.
Well, the biggest thing, and again, growing up in a military family with a military father, you got to understand structure was was not a question. Like, you know, it's a certain structure that we was gonna have regardless,
Yeah.
and that structure came from my pops. You know, my mom was as intricate as she could be in it, but we just knew that my dad had the final say about things. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
And let me explain how being a protector and a provider looks different. Even what we're talking about from a physical aspect, or from you know, my dad was a kind of a non-verbal protector, and I think that came from being military. Is that it was almost like a bulletproof jacket that was there, but you never saw it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It just came from a certain level of respect. It came from a certain level of admiration. It came from seeing my dad never really let my mom handle anything. Like you, just like in your situation, prime example. Anything come up, man, I knew my pops was gonna be the first one out the bed. Somebody come to that door too late, my pops gonna always answer the door.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
just like in your situation when y'all had the busted pipe.
Yeah.
Like, man, those situations were always led by my father. See, your incident is a prime example of what I'm trying to
convey.
picture I'm trying to paint.
Yeah.
Is that regardless of how scary situations were in my house, how dramatic situations were in my house, or you know, if another prime example. So you know, I have sisters, man, and my little sister always had the big brother syndrome. She always had big brothers. You know what I'm saying? And this is a story I remember vividly. My dad stationed in El Paso, and I had just started building my little reputation for fighting a little bit. So my sister get off the bus, and a little boy done called her the B word, and you know, done hurt her feelings or whatever. And this back when we used to have screen doors. So I'm walking, I done walked the homies home, and we joking, and so I get to the crib, and my pops is sitting on the other side of the screen door with his arm around my sister. She crying. Like, man, excuse my French, y'all. He like, man, little boy done called your sister a bitch. So I'm like, man, okay, like, let me in the house.
Like, I'm trying to go.
Man, I just got off the bus, bro. Let me in the crib. And on the military basis, man, you know where everybody live. You know what street. You really know everybody. So he's standing there. He like, man, your mama be through cooking about 6:30. Little boy called your sister a bitch. Well, I'll see you when you get back. And shut the door. And even from that, see, the protector speech spilled over. Like he telling me I can't go do nothing about that.
But you will.
You need to go find who called your sister a bitch and handle that.
Yeah.
Be ready to eat when you get back.
Yeah. So he pretty much is an extension of him through you in that situation.
We need everybody to know we don't play that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't play that. Like, you know who it is. You know where he at. Go find it. Bro, I'm talking about I literally had to go knock on little dude, my boy door. Like, bro, you know you called my sister a bitch, bro. We ain't gonna. And bro, you know what I'm saying? I gave him the 2-piece. Touched him a little bit.
He said, toot.
You know what I'm saying? I touched him a little bit and went on back to the crib, man. So, and that story really personifies what was passed down to me. It wasn't like my dad, even in the Will situation. My dad didn't necessarily want me to go over there and physically handle the little dude, but like I said, it was like he had an attitude, like, man, you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm saying, even about Will. Like, once I give you the warning, like, bro, did you call my sister a bitch? Like, yeah, I did. So what? At that point, now I'm Will Smith.
Yeah. I think it's to that point, man, and that's a great example, man, in terms of, highlighting the protective piece in that aspect. But going back to the message of where we talk about being present, there's a certain level of protection kids feel just from our presence, right? I give you a perfect example, right? My daughter can be hurt, like physically, something happened, like she falls, scrape her knee, something like that. And mama can do all of this consoling, right? But if I show up in that moment, I don't even know what's going on. But instantly, there's a sense of protection because daddy is there. No matter how I feel, no matter what's going on around me, my daddy is going to make sure that it's all right. Right. And that's the same type of feeling I had with my own father growing up. Right. When my dad came around, man, again, we talked about this. When something was going on, I just knew that it was going to be okay. And furthermore, like when he told me it was going to be okay, that did something for me. Mama would tell me that all the time. But when my daddy would say, it's going to be all right, son, I believe that 110% that, listen, because my father said it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right.
And do you remember we had the show with the girls on there? And I remember you asking Camden that same question.
Mm-hmm.
And you was like, you believed it.
Yep.
And that's the thing. Like, bro, that's why one of the biggest moments in the hospital was Cam giving me the fist bump, because I knew exactly just what you saying. What she understood was, I'm gonna squeeze mama hand, I'm gonna shake everybody else's hand, and I'm gonna let everybody else know I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna let my pops know I see him.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, I know I'm good because you here.
That presence, man, was a space of protection, familiarity. That's why when you say, like, hey, we ain't perfect, but we need to be present, that present brings something to the table.
And then man, so many times we don't understand, bro. We are perfect in our kids' eyes by just being present.
Oh man.
You know what I'm saying?
We don't understand it.
You don't understand that. First of all, your kids have no clue what perfection is.
Neither do we.
They have no clue and don't want to have no clue.
Right.
They just want to know my daddy say it's gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's it. And again, they don't know anything about what we deal with as adults. That's male or female.
Right.
But especially from a fathering standpoint, because a lot of times it's our inactivity that birthed this platform. Because like I tell y'all all the time, I was on a rehab ward that it was two daddies out of 50 rooms. Mm-hmm. All 50 rooms is full.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, man? And you talking about it's some kids with some chronic illnesses that, man, I can't imagine me not going in there and motivating Camden, me not going in there and making sure Kennedy cool psychologically. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, a lot of people, and you can respect this as much as anybody. It's a lot of people that do not understand what Kennedy went through psychologically. And still is going through. Like, man, Kennedy still harbors a lot of guilt for what happened to Camden.
Yeah.
Because it was a small confrontation between her and the girl.
Yeah.
That led to the brother retaliating.
Talk to me a little bit about that, right? And so I'm thinking about it because I really want your insight and perspective on this because of just the magnitude of that situation. Mm-hmm. So think about baby girl, now she's playing with the helmet. Mm-hmm. And the protective physical piece of her, or of that situation, you want to make sure she's physically safe. She don't get hurt again.
Right.
But then it's the emotional piece that psychological, what you talking about, where you have to figure out as her father, how do I protect her physically to make sure she doesn't physically re-injure herself? And how do I prevent those traumatic injuries from that situation from happening? That's still a protective piece too. Reyes, talk to me about that.
Let me tell you that plays into a lot of layers as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because even being on the court, especially in the beginning, especially last year, bro, is scary.
I'm sure it is. Come
It's
on now.
scary, bro, because and tell you a quick story. So, I coach him in the summer. So I'm coaching.
He always got a story.
Yeah. There you go. You know what I'm saying? I gotta bring y'all into this. So Camden, we going through a drill and we doing the rollout. Go get the ball, then y'all go into the one-on-one. And what up, though? Nate. That's your boy Nate. Speaking of hooping, what up, scrub? But so Camden, she get the ball, man. She going to her move. And man, she go to Euro and little girl kind of trip her a little bit. And man, she have an ugly speed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bro. And I'm, every time she go down, I go immediately into daddy mode. Like,
Mm-hmm.
man, and she like, Daddy, I'm good. Like, but I could really tell like she wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
So she go in the back of the line and I roll the ball out for the next group. And I could tell like she trying not to tear up. And so I tell the girls, y'all take a quick break. So I go over to her and like, Cam, what is going on, baby? And D, this is what she say. She's like, Daddy, I can't feel my arm. Oh my God, bro. Like when you talking about everything that you just described came back, because now I'm saying, am I protecting her by having her out here? Should I have her out here?
Right.
Is basketball this important?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's unexplainable to try and navigate that protective piece now.
Mm-hmm.
Even man, we 2.5 years out of it. And that piece is still a tricky piece to navigate, bro, because man, it is from a psychological standpoint, man. It is so many things that you try to keep at bay.
Mm-hmm.
From not worrying, man. You got to understand, my baby had a massive stroke, man. She had a couple of seizures. She was on a seizure medication for a long time, man. Completely paralyzed, man. There's so many things that go into it.
Mm-hmm.
Where and it's also a faith piece.
Oh, 110%.
It's also the faith piece that keeps those things at bay.
Yeah.
Because when you ask God for something and you've seen that He gives it to you, you got to have faith that that's what He gave. When you ask for restoration and you see restoration,
you gotta receive it.
You gotta receive it and keep that other stuff at bay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bro, you ask for restoration to even watch my baby out there. See, that's what I clock back into. Like, bro, she out here.
Mm-hmm.
She out here.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because even taking that a step further, you have to trust and know that God can protect her more than you ever could. The fact that He brought her that far through all of that, right? You know what I'm saying? And I like that, man. And I asked you that question because I knew that you was gonna have some crazy insight on that. Because I can only imagine that's that job. There's no clocking out. There's no PTO. There's no sick days. You got to be on that 24/7, 365.
And bro, people don't understand. Like, even now, a headache ain't just a headache. Or,
oh man,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or, like, even, there's one time when she kind of hyperextended her knee. So now we got to, and especially when it's on that right side that was paralyzed, you got to, people don't understand, bro. My baby only got about 85% feeling in her limbs. And she'll remind me every now and then. We working out and we doing some dips. And she like, I'm like, you should be able to feel it right in here. And she like, Daddy, I can't feel that.
Mm-hmm.
then it bring me right back to it, or it. So not only do we have to worry about the hyperextension, we got to worry about, does she truly feel it, and is it just a hyperextension, or she can't, or is it, like it's kind of like when your kids are infants, they crying, but you're trying to figure out what they're crying about.
Yeah,
like what's bothering them, because it's like, and Cam, man, she's so motivational, bro, because she not gonna let herself get discouraged. So a lot of times she don't even want to tell you, I can't feel the ball, or I didn't feel that, because she psychologically, man, she always telling herself, like, I'm normal.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
And as fathers, I think, man, that even from that protective piece, sometimes we have to protect our kids from themselves. One of the things that I can remember vividly is my father doing that a whole lot with me and my brothers. And growing up, I didn't understand that, because I just looked at it as like, man, dude, it's just tough. I'd be like, man, this feel like jail. But I didn't realize that to some degree, he was protecting us from things that I couldn't see, protecting me from myself, because at that point, I don't know enough. You know what I'm saying? I don't know enough. Even when you talk about injuries and sports and different things, my father would tell you, man, if I could walk and I could breathe, I'm going to try to play. And granted, in his mind, he probably, his chest is out like, my son is tough. But at the same time, he like, when is enough? And so I'm just going back to your situation, because that's got to be something that's extremely challenging, because on one front, you don't want to discourage your baby. But as her father, protectively, those instincts kick in. Okay, when is enough? And how do I do that to the point that it doesn't discourage you and set you back psychologically?
And the protective piece is also having to remind Camden that she had a stroke, having to remind Camden that you have permanent brain damage. Because a lot of times the helmet discourages her, or sometimes, her right hand, my baby right hand dominant. So now her handle ain't the same with that right hand. So I'm like, baby, look, you got to understand, we are still healing from a massive stroke.
Right.
You are still healing from 2 brain surgeries.
Yeah.
You have to understand. I know you just want to be a normal 16-year-old, but you are not a normal 16-year-old, and that's in a positive light. Like, man, you are an inspiration to a lot of people out here, especially when they find out why you got to wear the helmet.
Right.
So sometimes that helmet, and her hashtag is hooping in the helmet, because now she wears it like a badge of honor, but it's also a protective piece for me to let her know, like, don't get discouraged, because it's some people that don't come back from a stroke.
Right.
Give yourself and your body time to really heal.
Yeah.
I know you want to get back out there and be the same Cam and do the same, but that's why we working.
Yeah.
We working because you working on things that most kids don't have to work on. And sometimes even her trying to disregard the fact that she had a stroke is where I come in as a protector to remind her, like, you can't disregard it to the point where you're not working on what you need to work on. If we need to strengthen up your hand, we need to strengthen up your arm. You can't act like you didn't have a stroke, because now you're not communicating with me and telling me why you discouraged, or what's going on. So the protective piece is saying, like, look, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to come and tell me, like, I can't feel the ball, or I need to work on my strength, or whatever the case may be, because it is my job. And going back to the Will Smith piece, going back to the initial conversation we had, protector is a big umbrella. And a lot of times, man, we got to be able to, as fathers and father figures, figure out what tool we need to pull out of that protective toolbox
For the right job.
And it can't always be the hammer.
Man, it's funny you say that, because when we use the hammer all the time, we can condition ourselves that everything look like a nail. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's good.
We can condition ourselves that every situation is the nail, so I got to use this hammer.
Pull the hammer out. Nah, that's good.
But in this situation, you might have to use the screwdriver, which requires some finessing, which could equate to the emotional. That ain't gonna necessarily just be boom, 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 boom. And so, as fathers, man, I'm glad that we talked about this today, Rez, because I mean, it's more shows behind this because we got other layers to fatherhood.
And when it comes to the different characteristics of being a father figure, because again, a quick side note, you see Denzel went into father figure mode.
With Will, yeah, that's good.
With Will,
that's good.
So that's another spin that and Will let it be known, like, man, Denzel hit me to some stuff that really put me back in my place and kind of got me back right. That's a father figure piece right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is more show, man. And y'all make sure y'all tap in, man. I see some questions and some conversation, man. So y'all make sure tap in on YouTube. We were live on Facebook as well, man. Tap into the F2 Father Figure Podcast on IG. My boy Deontay on IG, myself on IG, Father Figure Apparel. But to close out, man, we'll get your shit together, bro. Like,
fathers, keep protecting, man.
Hey, man, keep protecting, but everything ain't the hammer, man. That's gonna be an analogy, man. That's gonna really.
That's a T-shirt right there.
Man, that's a T-shirt.
That's a T-shirt right there.
Everything ain't the hammer.
Yeah.
But man, on behalf of my boy Deontay Miller, man, I'm Reggie George. Y'all make sure y'all tap in. Father Figure Apparel. Father figures are essential. www.f2apparel.store. Y'all see it on the bottom, man. Y'all tap in, get you some apparel. The essential collection coming this week. We just going in, baby. We're going up. Thank y'all for tapping in. Make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure y'all share. Make sure y'all like, man. Appreciate you, my boy. We'll see y'all next time.
Yeah.